Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where today we are reacting to Piggy, what if Doggy was never infected? I don't know why I'm not reacting to this, because I don't like him that much, but I don't really care about Piggy anymore that much, but I love the game. Anyways, let's just react to this. This is the Vounds video, link in the description.
Piggy, what if?
And also, if you have not, please like and subscribe. And share.
Series where we look into multiple alternate dimensions to see how the story of Piggy could have had a different outcome. What if Georgie's name was Giovanna? What if the infected were just a bunch of angry Walmart shoppers? And what if Mr. P wasn't such a simp for his wife? No, I'm kidding. We're actually going to be looking at some really interesting scenarios, except that Mr. P one's probably not a bad idea, about what would have happened if we changed the Piggy storyline at one minuscule point. And we're going to be discussing the potential outcomes of that scenario. For example, in today's video, we've got what if Doggy...
Wait a second. Wait. What if Doggy was never infected? This just got me to thinking Piggy Book 2. Would Willow, like, take Doggy instead of taking, like, Pony or Zizzy? Or would Pony and Zizzy even go to the, refinery? I'm wondering now.
...was never infected. What...
Wait, be right back. Okay,
if Mr. P wasn't crazy?
I have to check if my mom was home or not. Sorry.
Probably a bunch more depending on how long I spend talking about each one. But let's just get right into it. Infected. What if Mr. P wasn't crazy? What if the player never existed? And possibly a bunch more depending on how long I spend talking about each one. But let's just get right into it. Be sure to like and subscribe, especially if you want to see more of these. What if Doggy was never infected? Doggy's infection at the start of Piggy Book 2 Chapter 4 was one of the first sad points in the Piggy story.
Okay, first let me just clear up something, guys. Everybody is asking me why I hate Doggy so hecking much. And it's supposed to be because the ships. Even though I'm like, oh, the ships can't hurt me, I'm like, but still. Go to jail. Lol.
Because we'd known Doggy for about 2 chapters. He helped us escape the station, he helped us escape the gallery, and then, out of nowhere, he just glugged down a drink, maybe some G Fuel or a chug jug, and then he collapsed, laid down on the floor, and rose up again as he infected, and we had to escape the forest with him pursuing us. And that left us pretty alone, well, at least until the very next chapter, when we came across Mr. P and Bunny. Now, the whole story goes on, and we don't hear mention of Doggy again until Book 2, which is when Doggy is once again brought back for an entire chapter in Chapter 1, Alleyways. Now, he was one of the main reasons that Willow was so furious throughout the first 6 chapters of Book 2. That one of the main reasons...
I've been like, are you wrong or are you wrong? I meant, are you wrong or are you not wrong? You're right.
That she was hunting us down. So what if Doggy was there with us the entire time throughout Book 2. So let's set back the clock a bit. Let's rewind all the way back to Chapter 4 when we were sleeping and the thing with Doggy happened. Let's say there was a little potion right next to Doggy's bench and Doggy was like, oh, that's an interesting potion right there. He decides to go back to sleep and then both him and the player wake up in the morning. And it's the morning where Sheepy does show up and they start pursuing us. However, there is no infected Doggy in the forest since he's still with us. And so Doggy will act as one of the NPCs like Zizzy or Pony where you can give a bone to, and then he'll go bonk up Sheepy while the player looks for ways to escape. So they both escape the forest together and head over to the school where they meet Bunny and Mr. P. I'd say most of the chapters would continue to proceed as we experience them. Like Mr. P would still betray us at the hospital. He would still give Bunny the potion and Bunny would become infected. So us and Doggy, we need to continue on and we chase after Mr. P all the way to the carnival and we beat the carnival, and all this entire time Doggy will be giving us an extra hand. Doggy will be there chopping up the infected with his little axe right up until we meet Zizzy and Pony. And as usual, they bring us back to the safe place. Who knows, maybe Pony and Doggy might have a little competition to see who can get Zizzy to love them. Maybe their little drama plot and Piggy. Then Doggy comes with us to the mall, the outpost, the plan. We defeat Mr. P and then we head back to the safe place. So that Book 1 is pretty much the same, but then it's Book 2 where it gets interesting. Remember, in the original, in the current Piggy universe, Willow had a distinct hatred for our player character because we were involved in the capture of her and I guess her parents as well. If you remember, a note from Asua says, "I'm worried about Willow. Her hatred for Pony and the officer has resurfaced tenfold now that she's come face to face with him." Well, now add Doggy into the mix and you're gonna have one angry little rager. A rage that's probably even worse than a typical Arsenal player. We beat the store chapter of book 2 and then we get on the radio and we see that there's...
You have no idea how fast someone can rage until you play 1 Among Us, 2 Piggy, and 3 Arsenal. And of course, literally any other game that allows you to lose. But anyways, Arsenal is one of the fastest.
The meeting going on in the forest. Gerald continues to edge us to go to the meeting and meet up with these people, see if they're good people. And so all of us go. Doggy, Zizzy, Pony. I don't know if Gerald and Mimi did. I think they went. And when Willow springs her trap and sees us, she is furious. In fact, she may just kill us on the spot. However, that would probably be a bit bland. She wants to torture us. She wants to make us suffer. So instead of taking Zizzy, she takes one for each person. She takes Zizzy and Pony back to the refinery.
Why does not she take Doggy? Because Doggy needs to... I'm just gonna say it, and it's gonna be very controversial, and everybody's gonna hate me in the comments.
TSP with Zizzy and Pony, we make it to the refinery, and we break in, guns blazing, axes wielded, straight to the room where Pony and Zizzy have been held. Well, unfortunately, Willow's doubled up the infected in that room, and so both Zizzy and Pony have been scratched. Before...
Pony, Zizzy, why did not you guys literally just bring your weapons? Idiots.
Succumbing to their infection, Zizzy and
Pony
both hug each other and tell us to escape and that they'll make a distraction. Which they do. They end up burning down the refinery while we escape all the way back to the safe place. Then chapter 4, the safe place, and chapter 5, the sewers play out pretty much the same. Willow shows up, captures...
Did you just say burn down the safe place?
Which they do. They end up burning down the refinery while we escape all the way back to the...
Okay, now I see. Now we have a reason why Willow's mad at us now. Sorry, I have to go again.
Safe place. Then chapter 4, the safe place, and chapter 5, the sewers play out pretty much the same. Willow shows up, captures us, we escape out of prison, and then Willow's like, "Let's dance, darling," but with an S at the end for both Doggy and us, and we need to get out of the factory. Yep. Being the good people we are, let's go the savior route. We end up saving all of Willow's members. All of TSP make it out alive. However, regardless of whether we saved all of Willow's group, regardless of whether we even have sisters, Willow is still furious, blinded by her hatred and rage. She doesn't back down even after Z and Zuzi shows up. She takes aim. She fires, but Doggy jumps in front of us, sacrificing himself for us to restrain Willow and escape. In this timeline, after Doggy's death, Willow is almost irredeemable. She takes much longer to give up the location of the boat that will take them to safety. Us, the players, along with Mimi, Gerald, Georgie, Z and Zuzi, and the rest of the TSP members, keep Willow restrained constantly. We don't let her escape, leave, or kill anyone else. And eventually, when we make it to the port, Mr. Stitchy's influence has increased greatly. The dark horrifying that spawns at the door may be fully formed by now. It may be another Mr. Stitchy, or he may even have an army of those dark shadow creatures. And even worse, Captain Budgie, without any fuel to move
Sorry about that, that was my nana.
Move the boat, and dwindling food supplies may have already starved or become infected, and so we'd be stuck at the port. We'd be forced to go all the way back to the safe place, or the factory even, and we'd have to wait there for the rest of our days. Who knows, there might be a cure coming from the other continent, but what our remaining survivors do know is that it's about to be a long wait. Who would have guessed that keeping Doggy alive may have ended in a greater disaster for our players and the rest of the survivors?
Exactly, that's why we should not keep him alive.
Who knows, this story could have gone a little different as well. Like maybe Doggy and ourselves would be able to take out Willow when she's like, "Let's dance, darling," and we won't even have to go through the factory chapter. We can just escape, and then we get on the boat and we still got Doggy. That's another possible alternate ending. But really, that's my take on what Willow Wolf would do if she saw both us and Doggy, two objects of her hatred, together in one place. I don't think she'd really be redeemable after that. That would be really rough. I think we need a slightly better story, so let's have a look at what if Mr. P wasn't crazy. Mr. P and his slow descent into madness is practically what causes the entire plot of Piggy Book 1. After Piggy Book 1 Chapter 6 where he infects Bunny, the entire plot of Book 1 is just hunting down...
Hold up, would Mr. P stay with us and Bunny then? Would he wait until we actually got on the helicopter?
Mr. P to get questions and ask him how this happened and maybe even make him pay for what he's done. We're constantly following his trail through the chapters. That's what leads us to Zizzy and Pony in Chapter 8, the Carnival.
Oh, craps. Okay, so I'm sorry if the rest of this video is elongated, like, not like, this. I have no idea until I actually look.
Questions and ask him how this happened and maybe even make him pay for what he's done. We're constantly following his trail through the chapters. That's what leads us to Zizzy and Pony in Chapter 8, the Carnival. I just noticed I had some white powder there. Hey, it's not what you think. I have shaving cream. I always shave before I do these videos because apparently I have to do it daily, and was probably dry. I don't do drugs.
Sure,
when we eventually do finally catch up to Mr. P in Piggy Book 1, Chapter 12, he's already going crazy. He's talking about voices yabbering in his head. He thinks we're ghosts or something, where he feels really bad, guilt and shame and everything. It ends up with the entire plant being blown up. His search for the cure destroyed.
Seriously?
We're back to square one. Now let's rewind that clock all the way back to the start, where Mr. P wouldn't make such a dumb idea as to start infecting people because he felt bad for what he did and he wanted them to go, like, pass peacefully or something. Wasn't that his explanation at the end of Chapter 12? Let's say...
First of all, that's not what happened.
He still believes in himself. He still believes in us. He believes in Bunny. And he will continue fighting his way through everything. Well, right after the hospital, he would take us on that chopper, and we'd pretty much go straight to the plan. Like, at this point, in this timeline, I don't think we'd be seeing Pony and Zizzy ever. We wouldn't even probably be seeing TSP. Unless that plan that was brought on by Mr. P's blunder somehow involved him and us, they'd be gone. They'd be a distant memory. In fact, they wouldn't even be a memory. They practically wouldn't exist. Because we'd be at the plant, working with Mr. P, and I presume Badgie, who was still alive at that point, on the cure for the infection. And we'd be working quite a few months with Mr. P. Like, he'd be sending us out to get resources from the infected. Several people may get scratched. Bunny might get scratched. I don't know if it was Mr. P that gave Doggy the potion or Willow. If it was Mr. P that gave Doggy the potion, he wouldn't be infected at the time, so he'd also be able to work with us. Until eventually, the lack of results in the search for a cure even starts getting us down. Like, we'd be working for months, and we still come to the same conclusion that Mr. P came to in the original storyline, that it's like almost impossible for him to be able to cure the infection with what he's got. And so everyone is starting to lose hope at this point. We've heard rumors, whispers of a new kind of infected that's edging closer, one that consumes the person in darkness and makes them say some crazy stuff, talking about eyes and everything. Oh, and I should also mention that in this timeline, Mr. P doesn't need the robotic implants because he has Bunny, he has us, he has anyone else, he has Badgie as well to help him through all of these experiments and all these science and breaking into things and getting items that he needs. Practically all of that makes sure that he doesn't get injured himself, and so we all look out for each other. Until one day, Mr. P hears about another continent on the radio, another continent that still has survivors on it. In fact, it has well-equipped survivors. It has military still alive on that continent. It has scientific facilities on that continent, and that is the spark of hope that the group needs. So they hop right back onto Mr. P's chopper, they refuel it, and they head out for the new continent on helicopter. They could even stop by Captain Budgie's boat if Captain Budgie is still there and use the fuel in there to take the helicopter and the boat over to the next continent. And it's on that continent that I believe they will find the cure without anybody in the group getting infected. The cure is made, all the infected, they turn back into themselves before the infection. They still have memories of what they were like when they were infected, so you'd probably need to book quite a few counselors in the Piggy world, but generally everyone is happy to see their family again, and Mr. P can finally reunite himself with Mrs. P. So yeah, I think that story was quite an obvious one, and in fact, I think if Piggy were real somehow, that's how it would actually go. Because Mr. P being crazy was kind of a very weird point to introduce there. If it was real life, I think he'd seek as much help as he could get, and he'd welcome any new heroes, any new survivors into his guild, and I do think he'd have the smarts to eventually make a cure for it, especially if the people on the other continent are as well equipped as we think. Anyway, I think this next what if is a pretty interesting one. What if the player never existed. Like, our entire focus in Piggy is centered around ourselves, our player, working their way through the Piggy world. What if we were never there? What if we were never part of the police department? What if we were just, I don't know, in Alaska or something, sleeping in our beds when the infection happened, and we're just holed up in our home the entire time? How would the Piggy story be different? Well, I've had a look through all the chapters, and I've tried
How did that literally just traps himself in ice before, and like, me that actually traps myself in ice and just survives in ice throughout the whole entire infection.
Thinking of like how it could go wrong, but it actually kind of goes better for the rest of the survivors in the Piggy world, especially for Pony and Zizzy. Generally, book 1 typically goes the same, surprisingly. Doggy would still pretty much get infected because the player isn't there to get gas for him, so he has to either go out and walk by himself, or he could just stay in the car and starve, although I don't think he'd really choose that. And then the forest doesn't really happen because we're not there. Then school, Bunny's trapped in there. Again, I think that's a scenario where, unfortunately, Bunny doesn't really make it. I think she may even starve in there. Mr. P, knowing him, he might slip like a potion into Bunny's room somehow, maybe drill it through a wall and make sure Bunny can be infected before that happens. However, once again, I think Bunny ends up either dead or infected, and Mr. P continues his quest on the little helicopter. Now, we never meet Pony and Zizzy at the carnival, so nothing happens there. We never meet Georgie at the mall, so Georgie is gonna stay in the mall, like, permanently, with his little ice cream supplies all around him. He may meet up with the safe place since they're literally like right next door to the mall. That would be a good scenario. And then Mr. P goes crazy. They don't get the cure, and that's book 1, pretty much unchanged, which is really interesting. The player really didn't have that much impact. Well, I guess this is a story about an apocalypse, and it's about us just trying to do whatever we can to survive. So I can sort of see that happening. But it's in book 2 where things get really interesting. I'd say the flashback goes the same. Doggy still captures Willow and everything, but Doggy isn't in book 2, so Willow has no one to be mad at. So when the group goes to meet Willow for the store, because I assume Zizzy and Pony would still be with Mimi and Gerald, they still have the radio and everything, they go and meet Willow, and sure, Willow isn't really happy with Pony because Pony left the group, but that wasn't really what made her angry. What made her angry was that us, the players, had taken her parents away. Like, she hated us, but with no one there to absolutely hate, I'd say they'd probably just go their separate ways. Like, Pony would be like, oh, it's Willow, sorry Willow, we don't really want to join you, and Willow would be like, are you sure about that, Pony? Or maybe she'll be mad at him a bit, but she definitely wouldn't end up sacrificing Zizzy. So TSP would likely get on their boat that they were planning on going, or after Willow found the person she was looking for. I think it was William or something. She'd go out looking for him. I don't know if William exists. Minitoon hasn't really explained it yet, but let's just say she does find William. Then she gets on the boat, she heads over to the other continent. Pony, Zizzy, and them, they'd continue living in the safe place because Willow wouldn't have blown it up with the robot and everything, so they'd still be having their little Christmas times with Z and Zuzi and the kids. However, they'd still be stuck in the safe place for a long time until a cure's developed, or hopefully there's a cure. Although Captain Budgie still probably either starves or gets infected. There seems to be a recurring theme in a lot of these. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that us, the player, are actually the reason that Zizzy gets infected and that everyone's really sad about it. We did it to ourselves. We should be mad at ourselves and not Willow.
I'm mad at myself in the game now.
Crazy. I never thought of that until I was actually researching this video. That's kind of weird. Let me know down below if you think there's going to be something different with that. But everybody, what do you think about this video? What do you think about these what ifs? Do you think they'd end any differently? Do you have any ideas
the doggy one pretty much because he gets shot at the end.
I mean, what if Mr. Stitchy showed...
I like the doggy one because he gets shot at the end. Duh. Sorry.
Up sooner. What if George was the first infected instead of Penny? What if Pony never left TSP? Let me know yours down below. And of course, if you want me to do more of these, please like the video because that lets me know if I'm doing well with them. I'll catch you in tomorrow's video. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Just remember this face. It's going to be